Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Whiteboard. My name is Harshit, and I'm the Director of Business Alliances at WYTLABS. We are a digital agency specializing in SaaS and e-commerce marketing. And I've got the CXO of Juji, Benjamin Brown, with me today. Juji is a firm in Jolo, basically offers chatbot. That's a no-code AI assistant with cognitive intelligence. A big welcome to you, Ben, and congratulations on your new role as CXO here.
Thanks, Harshit. I appreciate your having me on and taking the time. We are currently recording this right before the holiday season, so glad we can get one last discussion in before we bring in 2024.
That's amazing. And I would love to know, how has your transition been from your previous roles, and what aspects of your experience at Converse now do you find most applicable to your current position?
Yeah, I'll give a bit of background on myself. Again, I'm Ben Brown. I serve as Chief Experience Officer or CXO of Juji. Juji is one of the world's leading cognitive AI providers. Cognitive AI is something that hasn't quite hit the media waves in the same way that generative AI has, but it's something that we'll definitely dive into momentarily. As CXO, I oversee marketing, sales, and customer experience at Juji with a strong influence on product development. So it's really that end-to-end customer experience from their very first impression of the brand through establishing a formal partnership with Juji, and then long afterwards, making sure that all of our customers are happy, that they're enjoying the product, and that our AI is making life easier for the people using the product, the end consumer, and of course, for our partners' bottom lines. So the idea of AI, of course, is that we are augmenting very rudimentary tasks to free up people's abilities to do even more with their time. And previous to Juji, I was Vice President of Marketing and Customer Experience at Converse Now. Converse Now is a voice AI company that automates drive-through and phone orders for large restaurant chains. So I was really on the front and back end of the customer experience there, making sure that people's awareness of our brand was very sound, that we did a good job educating them on the importance of AI and how it could add value to the restaurant world. And then, of course, with our current partners, making sure that they were happy and showcasing the results that Converse Now was delivering to them. Both organizations serve an enterprise clientele. Converse Now in the hospitality space. Juji is much more widespread. Juji serves a number of different verticals: healthcare, higher education, hiring, recruiting, and market research are the primary entities that Juji targets. So I will take a pause there and just give it back to you. Hopefully, I've given a good high-level overview, and happy to go in depth on anything else you might want to cover.
Yeah, sure. I would love to know, because as a CXO, definitely you have, what exactly is your vision for Juji, and what strategic initiatives do you plan to implement to achieve that vision?
Absolutely. So cognitive AI, as I was alluding to earlier, is a technology that is strongly emerging, but isn't on people's radars in the way that generative AI is. Generative AI, of course, is this remarkable innovation that has touched virtually every aspect of business and consumer life, where you can prompt a service like ChatGPT to answer just about any question, write an essay for you, take care of your social media, whatever it might be. And there are 1.5 million brands that have popped up that leverage generative AI technology for more niche fields. At the same time, generative AI, as is the case with most AI, it is very, I guess, cut and dry. It's ask and answer. So if you were to look at a chatbot, for example, you know that Juji was a chatbot company earlier, and understandably, you're not as familiar with Juji as are most people. Juji is a cognitive AI company. The chatbot is just an accessory. So most chatbots are ask and answer tools. You ask it the question, it gives you an answer, typically scraping it from an FAQ page on a website, and then it just sits idly by for you to ask another question. What cognitive AI does is think of it as AI with empathy. Think of it as having a virtual agent on the other end that can empathize with you, that can read in between the lines, so to speak, that can understand the underlying context behind your question and can ask really educated follow-up questions in a way that most people take for granted, but in reality, only people can do and not machines. For example, if Juji serves higher education, if there is a prospective college student that's on a university's website and they want to understand if their business school is a good fit for them, then the chatbot would ask a couple questions about the person, and then the person would say, oh, okay, this program could be a good fit, but I'm really worried about financial aid. And then the chatbot would give them information about financial aid. And then it would say something along the lines of, oh, by the way, are you military? No, I'm not. Oh, do you work full time? And it would just continue asking these questions that a counselor would otherwise only be trained to ask. But in this case, the AI is trained to ask. Going further into that example, someone asking a question, the AI would be able to put that person's words in the form of a follow-up question that a person would normally be able to do to show, yes, I'm listening to you, but that the machine would never otherwise be able to do. What cognitive AI does is it allows people to have deep, meaningful conversations that are typically only reserved for person-to-person interactions. And now it enables AI to do exactly that. So that's a basic overview of what cognitive AI does. The applications are tremendous. It helps, obviously, in the case of our example, it helps college students find a major easier, or help them find a school that's a good fit. For a medical school student, it can help them understand what kind of specialty to go into. For people hiring mass positions at scale, it cuts down on the interview process where all of these repetitive questions that you have to ask someone over and over, AI can do that now. When a patient is seeing a doctor, that doctor can create custom discharge instructions for the patient to recover faster. It's just endless. And going back to your original question on what is the vision behind this, one of the big reasons why I joined Juji was to educate the broader community about what cognitive AI is and the value that it can instill on each of these verticals, and translating that value into metrics that really align with our partners' bottom lines. When Juji performs well, how is this going to bring in new sales? How is it going to, elevate your staff performance and increase retention? How is it going to make you a more financially sustainable business and create a win for your consumers, your staff, and your bottom line alike?
Gotcha. And I would love to know, Ben, what channels are you leveraging or plan to leverage to basically further customer education?
Yes, there's a number of different levers to pull here. The first and foremost is our owned channels, right? It's the content that we own and we can send out on our own terms without expending any digital ad spend on such things. Obviously, revamping our website, we have a good content library right now, but it could definitely use some expanding. One of the great things about Juji is that the co-founders are scientists. They were lead designers with IBM's Watson, and they use that vast knowledge that they, amassed during their time there to create this cognitive AI technology. And as scientists, they got dozens of publications that back up all of the incredible results that Juji delivers, the accuracy, the reliability, the inability to game the system in the same way that you would with any conventional assessment that you would get in a lab environment that Juji can otherwise automate. These are all things we have these facts to back up the product that we offer. And it's about being able to translate that very heavy, dense scientific material into much more user-friendly content for people to absorb better. So case studies, white papers, blog posts, infographics, things like that. So really starting out with that owned content and then just building out the automation from Juji's platform. So being able to create drip campaigns, etc., that really take our current funnel and better educate them on what we're doing and why we're doing it and the value it's going to have on them. The next element is, of course, events. In any B2B enterprise organization, events are huge because you really want to break bread with the people who can become your potential partners. And it really means everything to be able to have that personal high-touch experience for a product that in turn delivers high-touch experiences for our partners. So my CEO and I recently moderated a panel in higher education at a symposium in Atlanta that brought together some of the country's foremost leaders in online education. And we discussed the impact of cognitive AI on higher ed and its remarkable potential to not just increase student enrollment and just empower our nation to become more educated, but to make education more accessible to all. And for these online classes to have an element of cognitive AI that keeps students engaged beyond the online lectures they have to lead, giving every student that personalized, high-touch tutoring and mentoring experience that they would otherwise only get, during office hours in an on-campus setting. So and then of course, there's the paid element of things. Don't need to go into that too much. It just helps us amplify our voice. So a lot of really exciting opportunity awaits.
That's amazing. I would love to know what innovations or developments can we expect in the near future from Juji under your leadership, right? Particularly in terms of either product enhancements, new features, what else that you're planning?
Well, Juji has a lot of really interesting things coming down the pipeline. The first thing I'm going to do is give all the credit to Michelle Zhao and Huahai Yang, who are our they are the ones who are truly the masterminds behind this, as well as our incredible tech team, Wenshi, Dan, all of you all. They're the ones who make the magic happen. I'm just the guy who talks about it. They certainly get full credit. But a couple things I will allude to. One is with higher education, Juji has an incredible product coming down the pipe. I can't go into exact detail on it right now, but what I will say is that it is there to deliver that personalized learning experience that we touched on in our last, question, where every student can have access to a personalized learning experience with a virtual agent that can tailor lessons and assessments to their exact personality type and to their hobbies and interests. It's a remarkable thing. We have some really good alpha test results to back this up, and we're really excited to share a lot more of that with the higher ed community. We have a lot in development in terms of market research, where just any time that you would need an in-person survey or a live survey, Juji is coming out with a tool to really assist with that. So if you're having representatives taking hour-long calls to ask the same repetitive questions and follow-up questions, now cognitive AI is able to augment those experiences in a way that a traditional survey never could because it wasn't high-touch enough, and in a way that a regular chatbot could not do because the chatbot needs to ask contextual follow-up questions. Those two elements are really cool. And then one more, just to throw it in for fun. We are working with an event management platform, or several, I should say, on a live chatbot that is able to assist people in the live event space. So just help giving people a much more engaging digital experience to go with any conference or festival that they might be participating in.
That's brilliant. And I would love to know, because are there any specific strategic partnerships or collaborations you are exploring for Juji to strengthen its market presence or even offerings in general?
Yeah, there are partnerships are key to really, any entity within the business world. And because Juji serves so many different verticals, we really lean on a lot of strategic partners to help us just penetrate these different verticals. When it comes to higher education, for example, working with vendors that have built-in relationships with the university leaders that we intend to partner with. Likewise, in the medical world, there is a ton of compliance that goes into any technology company working with a healthcare provider. So working with a partner to ensure that we can meet the compliance standards and to integrate with an EMR system, for example, that you're dead in the water if you're unable to do that as a technology company. Really building those relationships with a strategic partner to give us that foot in the door and enable Juji to be compliant so that we can adequately serve our partners, not just from the perspective of our technology, but from a safety and security and compliance perspective.
Ben, tell me one more thing. In your role, what are the key performance indicators, main KPIs that you prioritize to measure the success and impact of your initiatives at Julie? And even in your prior experience as well, you have come up with your own set of metrics. I would love to know about that.
Yeah, that's a great question. And the short answer is that the metrics vary by vertical, and that it is absolutely imperative to speak with your customers before doing anything and understand what are their key metrics, how are they evaluating your success, and then how can you in turn bridge your performance to directly translate into the impact it will have on their key metrics. In terms of Juji, we'll just continue using higher education as an example. We have two different groups that we work with. One are enrollment counselors and directors of recruitment, and their biggest metric is enrollment. Like, how many new students are we getting in an online setting? You're not really restricted to the number of student people that you can fit in a physical classroom, right? In an online program, it's there's really no limit to the number that you want. It's just about empowering people to make the decision to better their lives with that degree from your institution. If their performance measure is enrollment, then Juji has a way to directly track the number of new students that are applying to the program when through Juji. That's a pretty great measure to directly attribute Juji's performance to the customer. It's not always that straightforward in terms of retention, right? Working on student engagement, making sure they're not dropping out because the course could be overwhelming or they're not understanding it. That's a bit squishier where we would measure subject mastery and student engagement on the Juji platform, in addition to whatever platforms they're using for the curriculum itself. Going back to my time at ConverseNow, restaurants were all about boosting their sales. After a number of in-depth discussions with some of our core customers, we uncovered a couple of great metrics that we can link to ConverseNow's performance. So one of them is sales per labor hour. Being able to understand the amount of time that people were saving during critical peak hours. So they would be spending less time taking orders and more time making them. And we could see customers were effectively doubling their sales per labor hour during critical peak hours. And being able to share that with a restaurant owner is everything. To say, if you have 2 hours to make as many orders as you can during the dinner rush, and we're helping you double those sales, that adds up pretty quickly. And that helped our customers stay pretty happy. So those are just a couple examples.
That's awesome. And as a leader, how do you plan to engage and empower the team at Juji to align with the company's vision and goals?
Yeah, every organization is made up of people, of course. And at the core of any business, no matter how advanced the technology is, it's really about the people who are creating it and driving it and moving it forward. It's just about establishing these deep personal relationships, right? And understanding what makes your people tick, what motivates them, what how do they handle constructive feedback? How can I receive constructive feedback? And really having consistent, open, honest communication is at the end of the day, the best thing that you can do. Making sure that you're leaving no stone unturned, that questions aren't going unanswered, and that your people have the resources that they need in order to do their jobs effectively, and that they know that there's an open door for them to talk about any time that they need help, and to really be honest in saying when they're unable to do something and why, and to have really thoughtful discussions around that, so that instead of people doing a C+ job across an overwhelming number of tasks, they deprioritize 2 or 3 things, and then they can do an A+ job on everything that they set out to do. Really, it's just about having very realistic yet ambitious expectations of people, holding them accountable for that, and coaching them through the process to make sure that they're performing beyond what they thought they were capable of. That to me is what I feel is my biggest responsibility. And it gives me no greater joy than to see people on my team outperform their own expectations. And I know that everyone is capable of it.
Yeah, that's nice. Now, given your extensive experience, what advice would you offer to marketers and CXOs navigating this ever evolving landscape of AI and technology in the marketing domain specifically?
Yeah, I think that the first thing that I would say is to go after metrics that matter. There are so many vanity metrics out there. And look, I get just as excited as anyone else about LinkedIn followers and web visits and other really high level metrics like that. But at the end of the day, you can have a billion LinkedIn followers and not do a single dollar in sales. So it's really about what moves the needle and tracking metrics that truly align with the company's bottom line. Likewise, investing in people and tools that enable you to maximize your efficiency and productivity. Um, some tools are very expensive, some tools are not, but really understanding, all right, if you have to pay a couple $1,000s for a tool that will boost your productivity by 6x, right? Okay, that's an easy sell, because how much would it cost to increase your workforce by 6x? A whole lot more. Of course, being able to leverage AI, right? Juji's an AI company. I use plenty of AI tools to help with our content creation, our automation, and everything like that. It just streamlines our entire process. We're a very lean team, and I intend to keep it that way. The next item, talking about lean teams, is that more people is never the first, should never be the first solution to any problem. It's about, one, coaching your current people to see if they can tackle whatever issue, and then looking to bring on a tool that could assist you and your team with tackling that issue. And then perhaps thinking about an agency partner or a contractor if needed. But growing headcount is something that you need to be very careful about. Obviously, job creation is a really important thing, but headcount is also a vanity metric for a lot of companies. And you have to make sure that everyone on your team is truly an asset and not a liability. So hiring is very important for a healthy growing company, as long as there's a very clear business case for it and a very clear scope of work for the individual. Look, I've hired plenty of people, of course, and it brings me great joy to do that. But you want to make sure that you are hiring methodically and only after you've exhausted all other options, and that you have a very clear vision for how that person will fit into the team and how their performance will be measured and tracked.
Awesome. All right, Ben, we're coming to an end and let's have some fun round. Let's have a quick rapid fire. Are you ready for that?
Okay, sure.
Okay. What habit holds you back the most?
What habit holds me back? I would say perfectionism. My background is in content, and I am really a stickler for style and tone in any sort of copy, obviously spelling and grammar as well. But it's really hard for me to let a piece of content go by that's not strictly adherent to the brand voice and the brand style. And I find myself editing things way too much, for better or for worse.
What show do you absolutely despise doing?
What chore do I absolutely despise doing? Is it first personal or professional?
Do it personal, man.
Oh goodness. Anything involving green waste. Absolutely. That I won't go into it any further, but I'm not very good about that.
Okay. What subject do you find to be most fascinating?
Very biased, but AI. Just
I
with
was
the
about
whole
to say
this growth.
AI.
All right, all right. Going into something more personal. I am a diehard foodie. Anything food related. I actually started my career as a restaurant writer in Las Vegas. Yeah, I keep very close tabs on the food world, and I'm always looking for the next great dining experience.
Okay. Tell me then, what's something you could eat for a week straight?
Oh, Thai curry, unquestionably. It is one of my absolute favorite foods.
What career did you dream of having as a kid?
What career did I dream of having? After the what every small child wants to do, like policeman, firefighter, astronaut, the first true career that I really envisioned myself was being an architect. I was fascinated with design and buildings, and I actually interned at an architecture firm in high school. I found out the job wasn't for me. Thankfully, I didn't invest in a 5-year architecture degree, but I have incredible respect for everything that architects do. And Juji's actually working with architecture firms right now. So it's really cool to be able to keep the connection there.
Okay. Now coming to my very last question. What did you last search on Google?
What did I last search on Google? I would say like best holiday cookie recipes because it's that time of year where we're making great treats. But we made some really good Mexican wedding cookies.
And thank you so much, man. Thank you for all the time, all the education that you provided about cognitive AI. It was really an interesting session. I personally learned a lot. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your time there with me.
My pleasure.